Hey everyone, how's it going? Today we're going to be taking a look at the Fractal Focus G mesh right here. This is Fractal's attempt at a budget mid-tower case. Typically got a price tag of anywhere between $40 to $55, maybe sometimes a little bit more. And it can easily be made to fit into any budget price range. And so the one we're looking at today, this one is gunmetal, even though it does look a little bit green. That's just me though, it looks green in my eyes. So let me know in the comments below what color you think this case is. Like I said, I think it's gunmetal. It does look green. Maybe it's like army green, I don't know. Also, if you enjoy this case or you enjoy cooler and PC reviews, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Listen, you don't want to miss the videos that are on my channel. We're doing a lot of awesome content and it just keeps getting better and better and better each and every day. All right, so the Focus G, it includes two 120 millimeter fans that are here in the front. These are white LEDs, and they are the Silent Series LL from Fractal. The front can also fit two 140 millimeter fans, and then you've got the top, which can fit two 120 or two 140 millimeter fans. And then you've got space for 120 millimeter intake in the rear, or outtake, I don't know why I said intake, but 120 millimeter fan in the rear, and then a 120 millimeter fan in the bottom of the case. The top, the PSU, and front, they all include dust filters, so you can keep that dust out. You can also remove the dust filters in the top. They're held in with screws. In the front, it's magnetic, and the bottom, it just pulls out. You can take those out if you don't want to hinder any airflow, because they do hinder airflow. The front panel here has a power reset and the LED light for, if it's power HDD. You've got your headphone and microphone audio. You also have a USB 3 super speed and a USB 2 port on the top. And then on the front is mesh, which is, a huge selling point of this case. It is mesh, and so you're going to have excellent airflow, as we will see. In this case, it comes included with two 5 1/4 inch drive bays. They can be removed. Why there's 5 1/4 inch drive bays on a case in 2020, I'll never know. However, some people, they still burn CDs, or they still have Blu-ray players and stuff like that. So there is this, so you can get your hard media on. Anywho, it also includes a 3.5 inch drive cage in the front bottom of the case. This can fit two hard drives and can be removed as well. It also features a dedicated 2.5 inch drive slot that is on the back, and then each side panel includes captive screws, so that you're not losing them whenever you actually try and take the side panels off. So that's really nice to have on a $40 to $55 case. So that's really cool. Glad to see it. Focus G can fit a 240 millimeter or 280 millimeter radiator in the front, whether that's an AIO, which you'll probably use an AIO in this system. If you're going to use any sort of water cooling, but it can fit a 240, 280 millimeter radiator in the front. It can also fit a 280 or 240 millimeter in the top. You do need to be wary though, that if it's very thick, it will interfere with the VRMs if you have tall VRMs on your motherboard. It can support ATX, MATX, and MITX motherboards. It has a max GPU length of 380 millimeter and a max CPU cooler height of 160 millimeters. So no knock to it NHD 15s on this bad boy, and a max PSU length of 230 millimeters. The build quality overall for this case, it's okay. There's not a whole lot of sharp edges on it. There are some. It's very light, as you can see, picking up with one hand. It's really light case. It doesn't weigh hardly anything. The front panel, or the side panel here, this is plastic. It's a little bit flimsy, but it's not glass or anything. It is plastic. So You know, it's okay. You know, it's to be expected at this price point to have something that's not got the greatest, you know, heft to it. You know, this isn't $100 case or anything like that. So it is a little bit, it's a lot light, which is nice, I guess, but it's not real super sturdy. Building in this case is easier than building, in my opinion, in the H500 or the H510 by NZXT, which has, you know, roughly a $20 to $30 price premium, depending on if you get this on sale, over this case. And so when you start talking about $20 to $30 price premium, that can really make or break a budget in some cases. If you've got a hard budget, you definitely don't want to slack on your PSU or your power supply. You don't want to slack on your, you know, your graphics card or your CPU or your motherboard just so that you can fit in, you know, a balling case. If you've got a hard budget, you really need to take into consideration trying to cut as much money as you can on the parts that don't improve performance or longevity. And so a case is definitely somewhere where you can make cuts like that. The case has ample room to build in, and it allows you to actually plug in the CPU power with ease. If you have a top radiator or fans, like I said earlier, it could be problematic if you have tall VRMs. Also, you may have some clearance issues with an AIO. And what I mean by that is if you've got fans or a radiator in the top, it's going to be really hard to plug in that CPU power. So you're going to want to make sure that you plug it in before you try and put anything in the top. Also, if you have an AIO, you might have clearance issues with your VRM, as I said earlier. Depends on, you know, how large the VRMs are on your motherboard, which if you're getting a $40 case, you're probably not buying a $300 or $400 motherboard or even a $200 motherboard. So let's be real. That we used in this case was a Ryzen 5 1600X, an Asus Strix B450F, a Radeon RX 480 reference design, a 550 watt Corsair power supply, which was not modular at all, and a 256 gigabyte M.2 drive. So it's a pretty basic system. It's what I call the eBay PC. You'll want to watch that video. And so the motherboard, you know, it fit in with ease. It doesn't look out of place in the Focus G. You know, it's not like you look at the case and you're like, wow, you know, I can't believe someone put a super duper nice motherboard in that piece of crap case. You know, it's not like that. It doesn't look out of place. It looks really good in here. The gunmetal gray with the black and grays and stuff of the B450F Strix really looks really good together. So the cable management on the back side is lacking with not much room. There is a bulge on the back of the case to allow for extra room for cable management. However, if you have a modular power supply, which at this price point in this budget in mind, you probably wouldn't. But if you do, you can overcome the fact that there's not much room, especially if you go with a super simple system like this. You only need just a couple of cables, and so it's not that big of a deal. However, if you have a non-modular PSU, you're going to have to get really creative with cable management. And so for me, what that meant was that I had to put this in the hard drive cage. I had to put the cables in there to hide them so that the case would even close on the rear. If you've stuck with me this long, which I hope you have, you really want to know about the performance of this case. And I'm going to compare it against the NZXT H500, H510. The reason for that is because it's around this price range, and that's what I have here to be able to test. And also, it's a very, very popular case, the H500, H510 is. And so the Focus G, it excels at air cooling. And what I mean by that is it's several degrees below the same test that I was getting in the H500. The big reason for that is, of course, because the H500, H510, it doesn't have a mesh front panel. It's only got a little bit of ventilation here on the side, but this one here has a complete mesh front panel, and it's fantastic, right? These silent series fans in here, they're not super silent. They can get a little bit loud. However, you are going to be able to hear fans more so than what you would in something like an H500 because this is mesh. There's more openings, and of course that noise is going to be able to come out. But whenever we talk about performance in this, like I said, just on the CPU, it was like 3 to 5 degrees cooler compared to the H500. So also when we compare performance, it is very important to note in this that the fans in this are different than the fans in the H500. So in this, there are only 2 fans here in the front. It's the fans that came with the case. And the H500 during testing, the H500 during testing, it actually had more fans. And they were different fans. And so in the H500, it actually had 3 fans, and all 3 of those were Noctua Redux fans, which ran at 1700 RPMs. If you know anything about Noctua, they make great fans. They offer superior cooling performance to what you're going to get in something like this. And so, you know, I was really trying to give the H500 a fighting chance when it came to airflow, which it still didn't have it. And so even with the Noctua fans, which are anywhere between $15 and $20 extra a piece, so if you add 3 of those on the cost of the H500, you're looking at like $115, $120. It still wasn't able to perform as well as this, even though it does look better. So let's talk about gaming. So in gaming, we saw some nice results. They equated, like I said, to lower temperatures and a couple of FPS gains. So in Borderlands 3, we saw 82 FPS, and this is at 1080 on like low settings. In Assassin's Creed Odyssey, we got 45 FPS. In Far Cry 5, we got 61 FPS, and in Division 2, we got 62. Now, while this isn't a massive gain over what we saw in the H500 from NZXT, we can see that by using better cooling, which we have in here, we were able to get a slight FPS boost, which was about 1 to 3 FPS in each and every case. And so this is due to the fact that boost clocks were able to be achieved more easily. There was more cooling performance on hand, and so those clocks stayed a little bit higher, which meant that we've seen a little bit better in terms of gaming performance. In conclusion, the Focus G, it's a great case for the money. If you can, catch it on sale for $40 like I did on Newegg or Amazon, it's a steal. It really is. And it's going to serve you as a great case for both a budget and a mid-range PC for a while. If you pick this up for 40 bucks, you can definitely take it through a couple budget mid-range builds. If you're going to pick something up like this for $40, you could definitely, squeeze in a $500, $700, $800, $900 system. And that the 30 to 40 extra dollars that you're going to save can really go towards something else. And that 30 to 40 extra dollars can be the difference between, a motherboard with Wi-Fi and a motherboard without Wi-Fi. Or, a sale, maybe it's like 30 to 40 different dollars. A 30 to 40 difference, in graphics cards or something like that. But you can save it. Maybe that means you get extra storage, or you could get better cooling. Things like that. You could really take that money and do a lot with it. And so, like I said, you may only save you $15, $20, $30. But it is a great case. Even though it doesn't have the greatest build quality in the world, it still performs. This is a performer. And that's really what we care about. Listen, I don't look at super high-end things here on the channel. I have. It doesn't happen very often. But I like to look at things that's really going to make an impact, like the real price to performance kings. And that's what the Focus G is. The Focus G is the price to performance king. It is the Ryzen 1600 and 2600 of the CPU cases. Even better, it's the Ryzen 3100 of CPU cases. Or CPU cases. I can't even talk. Listen, it's a performance king. This case is great. It's awesome. It's fantastic. Go out, buy 10 or 12 of them. And make sure to use my links so that I can cash in on this video. A lot of time went into this. Listen, if you like these videos, if you like case reviews, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Please, I beg of you, please do it so that I can be like to my wife, hey wife, listen, people subscribing, I'm making like $2 a day. I can afford to buy a case to review. If you like it, leave a like. It really helps me out. And leave a comment. Let me know. Have you built in the Focus G? What do you think about the Focus G? Are there any other cases that you'd like me to take a look at? I want to look at like the Cougar MX330. I want to look at the P300A by Fantex. There's a lot of different cases that I want to look at here on the channel. And so I would like to have your input on it. Listen, y'all stay safe out there. Keep it real.